Well, it comes to this. Game 2 between Socke and Xenix Core at the GeForce SC2 Pro-Am presented by NVIDIA, and of course, speaking the voices are none other than me. I'm Day 9.
And I'm H to the Husky. You know, Sean, we are running out of creative ways to introduce this.
I
feel like people should leave comments on how we should introduce it.
Because
that would be
worse
highly
over
entertaining.
time.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I feel if you put it on a scale, it would be just going down the longer that we waited. But regardless, spawning in the center right side is going to be Xenix Core. I will hopefully just be calling him Core, continuing forward with this series. And the center left side is going to be Socke. And I've asked him, he said it's okay that I pronounce it Socke. So
he told me that too, but I wanted to honor him by actually addressing him in the appropriate form, because if someone was like, hey, Scene, and I was like, you know what? You can call me Scene. You don't have to call me Sean. Which is a joke that I said to the person who you know, is my mailbox, because I don't have a mailbox at my house. I have to like walk to a mailbox
Gotcha.
to get it. And he calls me Scene and is convinced that that is my name. And I answer to it, and I'm happy.
And if he's forever going to do that. But Sean, last game, now I'm going to start calling you Scene by accident.
Do it,
last game we did see double 4-gate. The map is going to be Metalopolis. Now, does the map dictate Protoss versus Protoss builds as much as other matchups and maps?
Well, the 4-gate's relatively unaffected due to the ability to, warp in cross-map, but there's two big ways in which it's influenced. One, it's difficult to get the pylon cross-map. A lot of 2-gate openings are favored on this map because you can get the stalkers out and monitor at these watchtowers and repel a push. Send the probe back home. And the second big thing is the follow-up after the 4-gate, where suddenly the distances are so big that it's actually quite comfortable to get expansions a little earlier, to get tech up a little earlier. I'd likely anticipate to see a little bit more emphasis on Blink and or Robo.
And right now, Cybernetics Core going down for either player. They have both begun harvesting that gas. Usually you won't see a second gas geyser too early, because in this matchup you definitely need enough units out to hold off any of that pressure. And as we mentioned before, with the proxy pylons, that pressure can come a lot sooner than in any other matchup. So you always got to look out for that. We do have a Zealot once again. This time it is not going to be for Socke. It is instead going to be for Core. And we saw last game that Zealots are effective for the majority of that matchup. So even squeezing one out is not a big deal, even if you don't end up using it right away. Cybernetics Core is now just finishing up, which means, yep, they're going to be getting that warp gate.
That there is a warp gate upgrade, as we would say in my home state of Kansas, Husky. And of course, I just want to introduce to you my favorite quiz. What is the plural of y'all?
Y'alls.
It is all y'all, Husky.
All y'all, excuse me, I am obviously from the West Coast, where hella is, I don't know if there's a plural of that, but if there was, I would have a quiz to throw right back at you.
That is... I eagerly await your hypothetical quiz. We see that the probe did get picked off in the base, so that means that Socke is a little bit behind. We see him actually skimping on the probes quite a bit, and there's a
major cough coming in.
There's a lot of liquid going into my lungs due to the excitement. I am just salivating at the sight of what looks like is going to be a...
Oh, a Twilight Council. We always finish each other's sins.
We see that there's a nice technique called worker cycling, which is where you build a probe and right before it finishes, you cancel it and then rebuild it again. That's if you want to stay at that key 20 probe limit. And then if your scouting worker gets killed off, you can easily just let the current one finish. It's a nice technique I've seen OGSMC use quite a bit. Twilight Council now going down for Socke.
Now, before you get too excited expecting only DTs out of these players, there's always going to be 3-gate Stalker is the much more common way of dealing with that. If you can sneak out DTs versus something that has no robotics, it can really pay off. But what do you think about this expansion from Socke right now, as he is going to be going up against Blink Stalkers?
This is bold. I mean, at this point in the game, we see that there are 2 stalkers. The watchtower is very common with the 2-gate opening, the 3rd stalker poaching forward, and it has seen no movement at this point in time. So either a probe snuck a pylon really early, or he's fine. And because, you just generally assume that your opponent isn't going to do something as risky as trying to hide one probe. And it looks like, oh man, Socke though. Ooh. I mean, he's utilizing this feeling of safety to try to expand a little bit earlier.
And Sean, it looks like potentially if Core decides to attack when his blink is done, but his opponent's is not, he doesn't know the timing of this, I'm sure, because he can't see it exactly, but there will be a time where Socke's Stalkers seem to be worthless. They are going to catch wind of what's going on and try to attack this. Nice positioning here by Socke, able to run in here, doing a lot of damage, able to take out one Stalker, going for a second one, is going to be able to get it, chasing down a third one as well. He is going to get that one, continuing to commit here, but blink is done. Can the Stalkers get after this one? It's cool down, it's out, takes it out, and is gonna kill a Zealot as well as me and Sean simultaneously pass out from excitement there.
Tremendous losses for the for Core. He lost so many Stalkers, and Socke did not lose that many. Now they both have blink. Oh, he's trying to pull back again to a good position. Some probes are now getting transferred down, and the big key is not to build too many of those. He jukes forward a little bit too far. We see some blink micro. Socke pulling up to the high ground. These battles are goofy because almost nobody's actually taking any damage, but at this point in time in the unit counting station, we do see that there are plenty of Stalkers out for Socke. Socke currently has the lead. He has the expansion. There's almost no advantage that Core can go for at this point in time. Socke having immaculate defense.
Yeah, the blink micro there was really, really good. I'm just going to take a look at the units lost tab. Overall, more units lost for Core, which is why this expansion is able to get up and running just fine. And if Socke can squeeze out a couple more probes, that expansion is really going to be insanely good. Looks like Core supply blocked after losing that proxy pylon, so he's not able to produce anything right now. And Socke is going to take this chance. And I was going to say, Sean, if someone gets a Dark Shrine, it could be huge. And that's exactly what Core is doing. He knows his opponent's not going to have detection. He's hoping he's not going to have detection by the time these DTs get there.
This is a very rough spot in Protoss vs. Protoss play. You are almost committed to playing defensively the instant you see your opponent going Blink Stalker, because there's two big deviations after your opponent goes Blink Stalker. One is mass speed Zealots for a follow-up attack. The second, Dark Shrine. You know, just to try to go, come on, win. You know,
yep, absolutely.
The good old hope he doesn't have detection play. So if you scout the front and you see Zealots, it's very hard to know what's going on. Is he building Zealots to save gas for the DT, or is he building Zealots because there's a huge attack coming up? And it looks like Socke doing the smart play, going for the Forge. He must build a cannon immediately. That is the best defense against both of the options. That said, he should also be getting armor instead of +1 attack. Armor will help your Stalkers against Zealots as well as against other Stalkers. If you get the +1 attack, it only helps my Stalkers versus your Stalkers.
We do have the cannon on the way right there. Positioning is good. Needs to make sure not to allow any DTs to slip in. I am just going to look at the units tab here. We do have 17 Stalkers for Socke right now. You got to remember, he also has that blink, which means those Stalkers seemingly much more effective. The problem is that he will be stuck in his base until he can get out detection to deal with these Stalkers, or to deal with the DTs when he is himself in an offensive position. He should be able to spot this DT down. Is it going to slip in? It is going to get inside the main base. The Stalkers. He survives. How did that DT get in there, Sean? Oh my God! I gotta get in here as well. It looks like, and you can see Socke desperately trying to get here. Is he going to click the I win button? The robotics are just now being constructed, but at this point he may lose the Nexus before any sort of detection can get out.
Oh, this sucks, Husky. He's now chrono boosting the upgrade. Very important to try to maintain that edge in the late game. If he can get 1-1 upgrades, his Stalkers will not only kill the opponents in one less hit, but will also take one more hit to get killed by the opponent's Stalkers. So it's a huge boost, and it looks like Socke, with his cannon creeping, will not be fast enough. The Nexus falls, +1 done, but oh no, here's the big Stalker attack. Still more Blink Stalkers for the German Protoss, but will the Core Protoss move in and do a little bit more damage? Again, the Zealot count. Just having a few additional Zealots is so good. The cannons are going to help tremendously as well. And he's target firing the Cybernetics Core. Oh no, there's been no Observer built yet. We do see the cannon is done, and it will be able to take that out. But here comes the push at the front. More blink going on. We see some Zealots getting morphed in by Socke. Some miss blinks. Oh no, is not at a good angle. Most of his stuff is trapped behind. And it looks like Xenix Core is getting the huge concave. Most of these Stalkers from Socke not firing. We see that the Dark Templar still managing to pick off the Cybernetics Core. Oh my gosh, Core got an incredibly lucky break after the brilliant opening and amazing response by Socke. What a back and forth game, but it looks like Core now has overwhelming Stalker numbers He has the blink, and Socke can't believe it.
Wow, there's going to be the GG out of this game, showing you how much a couple of DTs can set you off of your game. Even though he had an expansion, Sean, and he just was not able to recover. Force put that robotics in a very bad spot when it came down to the last battle. So Socke, when it looked like he was way ahead, which he was not able to finish that game out. The cannon placement was not as good, and the DT slipping right up that ramp, which immediately turned the pendulum back into Core's favor, and that's exactly what we saw here.
So Socke, who has been yet undefeated, gets his first loss in the group. Xenix Core, who has taken one series of a loss, extending himself to a 3-1 position in that group. Last week of group play is coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I believe we have 2 weeks remaining, so make sure to stay tuned for that, guys. And that is going to be it for now as we just wrap it up with this last Protoss versus Protoss. I have been Husky.
And I, per usual, am Day9. Check out our respective stuffs at youtube.com/HuskyStarcraft.
Yes. And
Day9.tv.
Day9.tv. I just want to make sure I get that right, Chunks. You have a lot of websites out there.
That is
I don't want to
true.
be sending people, go follow his Twitter, it's the best way, and then you punch me in the face afterwards. So
Because you're following someone else.
Right.
Only follow me on Twitter. Unfollow all others. With that, we're just going to go. Goodbye.
we're just going to awkwardly leave. Bye.